The holy grail of self control, self discipline, along with conscientiousness and perseverance, are a trait that form the holy grail of self control, a hot topic right across the social sciences. For psychologists, self control means a child grows up into an adult with better mental health and self stability. Sociologists link it to less crime and unemployment, whereas health researchers have connected an ability to be in charge of yourself for longevity and better physical health. And even economists and policymakers are jumping on the self control bandwagon. Researchers following a group of 1,000 children from birth to age of 32 as well as another group of 500 siblings pairs concluded that teaching citizens self-control as children would reduce a panoply of societal costs, save taxpayers' money, and promotes prosperity. No wonder we feel stressed if we feel we are falling to the wrong side of the self-control spectrum. When self-control is promoted as a sort of societal cure-all. But I do have a bad news about self-control. Genetics play a part in our self-control. But the good news is you can stop beating yourself up about it as if it's all your fault. Two researchers analyzed over 31 twin studies and concluded that genes contributes as much as 60% of our differences in self-control. But note that the researchers admitted that all studies were based in America, meaning the data is skewed, so true percentage would be lower. And that still leaves at least 40% of our self-control as coming from elsewhere. Now, one question arises here. Did your childhood affect your self-discipline? Elsewhere might be environmental, in other words, arise from the situation we live within and the experiences we live through. These can be positive environments like supportive family members who modeled self-discipline, or it can be negative environments like an unstable home life, a critical parent, neglect, and childhood traumas. Trauma in particular is connected to struggles with self-control. A study looking at control of emotional responses and impulses called emotional regulation made this clear. It scanned the brain of participants as they performed an emotional conflict task, looking at pictures of faces that represents one emotion, but with a word laid over the picture that represents another emotion entirely. So a happy face, for example, had a word fear across it. The task was to label the emotion on the face while ignoring the word. But those who had experienced early life trauma showed heightened brain activity in areas that meant they felt threatened by the conflicting emotional message. And they couldn't control this overreaction, which then affects their ability to think clearly and give accurate answers. So the trauma responses to their brain directly affects their self-control. So am I a lost cause who will always lack in self-discipline? Are you also thinking like, well, we all have some sort of self-discipline. If you did not, you wouldn't be sitting here clothed and feed and watching this video. True, you might not have the discipline of Beyonce, but you have the discipline to practice self-care. And we also now know that the brain has what is called plasticity. It responds to trainings. So, while you might be less likely to be self-disciplined and just telling yourself to change this will have a little effect, there is still a hope. Now, we'll tell you some of the tips to fix your self-discipline. Number one is shift focus and find your factors. Sometimes we are so busy negatively comparing ourselves to those around us as we completely overlook our own ability to be in control or our own special way of doing something. Just make an effort to notice not just where your discipline goes wrong, but where it goes right. What is it exactly that has you more disciplined in some areas than others? Is there any way to move that across to other areas of your life? For example, if you are motivated to exercise, as you know it increases your longevity, can you increase and research the ways for success at work affecting longevities? Yes, of course, you will do it that way. Now, number 2 is identify your discipline rhythm. Start to notice not just what keeps you disciplined, but when you are so much disciplined. Do you tend to get a burst of focus first thing in the morning but feel uninterested by the noon, or do far better work when out in a cafe surrounded by noise than when alone in your home you are sitting or in your office? Professor and author Cal Newport in his book Deep Work suggests that instead of focusing on how not to be distracted all the time, we need to focus on finding daily windows to do deep work. The idea is that we all have windows of time where our brain is suited to very deep hyperfocus and extreme productivity. And if we recognize when those windows are and maximizes them, we can go further faster. Now, point number 3 is get comfortable with feeling uncomfortable. If you are waiting to feel good, to get focused and to be disciplined, just forget it. This is particularly true if you're experienced childhood trauma and your brain is geared to back away from stress. If you sit down to achieve something, you are likely to feel edgy, jumpy, or tired or achy. Just get a timer and set it for 10 minutes. Then sit with that feeling of discomfort instead of jumping up and avoiding it. Even if you feel like you are not really getting any work done, see it through. Keep adding 5 minutes increments to the timed sessions, seeing how long you can work despite the extreme feeling of discomfort. And is the feeling started to shift? Even stop, or your brain realizes the work stress is not that much dangerous. Now come to the 4th point, that is engage with self-discipline siblings. Remember that trait of self-control, discipline, conscientiousness, and perseverance. They work together. If you struggle with discipline, engage the others to prop you up. What is the bigger picture here? How does this relate to my personal values? That means your conscientiousness. What are the benefits of continuing this regardless of the outcomes? That is the perseverance. Now, point number 5 is find a watcher. Why is it that some of us can't for the life of us show self-discipline in our lives, but are a productive machine when at the office? Our brains, even if they are geared to avoid stress and further trauma, are also geared to seek rewards. If you register approval of others as a type of reward, then you will be far more motivated when around colleagues and your boss. Use this by finding someone to report into in other areas of your life. This could be an agreement with a friend, or it could mean hiring a coach or talk a therapist who can check in with weekly. I hope these 5 tips will surely help you if you follow them religiously in your life to be in discipline and fixing the issues. This is it for this video. Me Divya from Tegunity Academy will see you soon in a very new video with some more topics like this. Till then, goodbye. Take care. Jai Hind.